Ritchie, right?
Yeah, my last name's Ritchie.
Hi, hello everyone. Hello, Unlocked community. Thank you guys all so much for being here. My name is Jessie Lang. I teach people to buy and manage long-term rental properties. And if you all own properties or want to buy properties, our guest here today has a topic that you are going to care about a lot because it is going to affect your tenants. It's going to affect your pocketbook. So Mike Ritchie here is with Integrity Pest Solutions. Did I nail it?
Yes. Yep, you got it.
And they are our go-to for treating the dreaded bed bugs. So Mike, why don't you introduce yourself for a second and then kind of let us know what you do and what all services you do and all that.
Yeah. So, like Jess was saying, my name's Mike Ritchie. I work for Integrity Pest Solutions. I've been working for them for 5, going on 6 years now. And as a company, we've been doing treatments for bed bugs and other pests as well for the past 14 years or so. Actually, I think it's 15 now. I'm losing track of the years already. But our specialty, our first actual, I'd say, 8-9 years of business was strictly just doing heat treatments for bed bugs. With based off of where we're at in Ohio, it's unfortunately the worst state in the nation for them. But the past, I'd say 5-6 years, we've really expanded into a lot more of the general pest side of things as well as when it comes to roaches, ants, spiders. This time of year, lots and lots of bees. I've been in a bee suit most of the day today, so it's been.
Wait, you were in a bee suit today?
Yeah. Yeah, I get to go in and out of those things all day. So yeah, one of our previous chemical applicators retired, so I've been picking up a lot of our chemical sprays and everything like that now. So it's
we need to bring you back for bees.
Yeah, bees are always fun. The only ones we don't do are honeybees just because they're endangered, so we can't apply for them. But as far as yellow jackets, hornets, all those kind of things, we do them all, especially this time of year. Lots and lots of yellow jackets and hornets. So
nice. Well, we are here to talk about the dreaded bed bug. And you said Ohio's the worst. Do you know why? I'm just curious.
A lot of different factors play a role into it. I just know with the studies they release, the ones they release are usually from Orkin or Terminex, but based off of their work they kind of generate in those cities and stuff. I know every major city in Ohio is within like the top 12 or 15 cities in the U.S. I know Columbus is, I think, like 3rd or 4th in the U.S. My hometown, Cleveland, is actually one of the worst. They're like 2nd or 3rd behind New York City and Chicago, but in Akron, Cincinnati, right, Dayton, Youngstown, Toledo are all just they happen to be hot spots for them, unfortunately, but keeps us busy work-wise.
Like, what is it, like the climate? Are there states that don't really have bed bugs?
Yeah, so and again, every state's going to have bed bugs. As far as kind of how they travel, they are parasites, so they're really traveling from person to person. So especially public places like hotels or public transportation or even just other public aspects, they will definitely still be present, but just not at higher quantities. I know warmer states, the gentleman I was talking about earlier that had retired from us, he used to do termites after termite job in Arizona, and they would rarely ever do bed bugs, whereas here we're kind of the opposite. So climate does definitely play a factor, but there's 10 million kind of things where they just happen to be the sweet spot in the state of Ohio here.
And so we have them nationwide, but I'm here investing in Columbus. A lot of our viewers are. So that's unfortunate to know that we're a hot spot. Like, what exactly is a bed bug?
So bedbug itself, they actually originated as bat bugs. They were parasites on bats way back in the day, and over the course of evolution, they've actually kind of, when people started building houses not as kind of tight and sealed up as they are now, way back in the day when people first started building homes, those bats would be very commonly found in attic space and whatnot. And over the course of time, they started to kind of change some very minor changes between a bat bug and a bed bug, but they're basically just become parasites for humans. Unfortunately, they need our blood to survive, so they're really kind of hitchhiking from person to person. But they're just parasites. The good thing is they don't survive too well outdoors. They're not crawling from one house to the next or anything like that, but just, again, public places and public kind of areas where people are coming and going from are really kind of how they're spreading throughout society here.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a bed bug. This is obviously a close up. They're commonly mistaken with, what was the beetle that you taught me?
Carpet beetles
With the
is
carpet
a very
beetle.
common. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys get someone in your maintenance request that's like, I have bed bugs, send a picture to an expert because it very well could be a carpet beetle.
Yes, yeah, or some other sort of beetle. There's 10 million different types of beetles. Like some of them do look fairly similar,
Yeah,
but usually to a trained professional, they'll be able to identify if it's one right away for you or not there.
good. So that was like the close up, and then this is what it would look like in kind of more zoomed out setting in their habitat. And this is the edge of a mattress, hence bed bugs. But they could be really in any kind of soft fabrics where humans are frequently present.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and even in more severe cases, I always tell people that people are like, I'm never going to buy fabric furniture. I'm going to get leather or plastic chairs or this and that. Unfortunately, in more severe cases, bed bugs can go just about anywhere. And yeah, earlier stages, you'll see them typically around those mattress and furniture areas. But again, 5+ years of doing this, I've seen some nasty stuff, but I've found them underneath toilet seats before. Like they can go really anywhere. But again, those are those more crazy, severe cases. If you find them underneath a toilet seat, you pretty well know there's a well-known issue in the home there.
That's an infestation.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what I learned from you is that by the time you would see something like what that mattress looked like, it had been how many months that they're probably present in the home?
I'd say with that obvious of fecal remnants there, I'd say at least 6 months or so from the initial bug being brought in. But again, depending on other factors may vary that as well. If they got a reliable food source, or I know we had a home we had done about a year ago, and they had one in their guest bedroom, and they never really use it besides when they have guests over. So they could have brought in from the previous guests they had, or it could have been there from 6 months ago, and they came over for Thanksgiving or whatnot, and they just now being noticed without having a food source. They're not going to be as out and active compared to.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just compared to if they have like a daily food source, so a bed that's being used every day, they're going to be a little bit more active reproducing. You're going to see those fecal remnants a little bit sooner compared to maybe a couch a guest sat on that no one really ever uses on a regular basis. They're not going to be multiplying and growing as quickly there.
And I think it's a misconception. Someone will go on a vacation, come home, see one bed bug and think, oh my gosh, I just got this on vacation. But to actually see one, they've been there for some time.
Yeah, typically. And again, vacations, again, you're going in a lot of public places, public transportation, airplanes, hopping in an Uber to go to a hotel, staying in a hotel are all probable spots to pick them up and bring them home. But unfortunately, the big thing with them, they do feed in cycles. So a lot of times when you leave for a week-long vacation and you come back into the home, they all haven't fed in a week. So that first time you're coming back in, they're going to be kind of out and about in a little bit more abundance than normal, where they may have gone undetected before. Now, there's 8 different families of bed bugs eating at once. There's going to be a lot more possible visibility of them there.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy. Okay, this is all so good, and it's a kind of an aspect of property management that people don't think about a lot. So if we confirm, a resident puts in a maintenance request, they say, hey, I think we have bed bugs. First, I'm going to send you a picture personally. I'm going to say, Mike, is this a bed bug? You're going to say yes or no, or I don't know. I don't have enough information. So in that, I don't have enough information. We actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but you know how there's like bomb dogs, drug dogs. There's actually like bed bug dogs where you can send a dog in, they sniff, and then they mark or sit down or bark or whatever. What's the trigger?
Typically, I know with Renee with militariers, I know we recommend her a lot. But she typically when her dog's alert, I think they usually just go into more of a sit and pause kind of stance, just to let her know, hey, there's something here, and then she'll kind of do more of a deep dive to kind of investigate further visually there. But they definitely a lot more scientific approach having the dogs come out compared to visual assessing entire homes. Basically like looking for a needle in a haystack, doing a visual inspection there.
And the reason, I mean, there is a cost to have the dog out before. I think it's like $150. And the reason I'm willing to pay that is because the treatment, which we're about to go into, is a really big deal. A heat treatment it's a 1-day project, but it's the full day. There's a lot of prep work involved. It's not something you just want to, just spray some chemicals. Like, you really have to plan and prepare for it and pay for it. And so I want to be absolutely sure before I go and heat treat a house that it is in fact bed bugs. So you have that option to bring in the dog prior. We actually just had one. No one knew if it was a bed bug, so we brought in the dog and it was not, thankfully. So I would have treated that house, but I saved the money because we brought in the dogs. And so I think that's fantastic that like we have that as an option.
Yeah, and I always tell people it's a great reassurance because I always tell people, unfortunately, heat treating a home for bed bugs isn't the cheapest thing ever to go do, but it's definitely the best route of treatment to go forward with getting the situation resolved in a timely manner. But I just tell people I wouldn't just go drop the money and do it if you just experienced a bite or anything like that, because unfortunately that bite could be from 10,000 other things or some sort of reaction to something as well. So definitely making sure it is a bed bug, whether it be a visual picture or capturing a bug or anything like that, or of course having the dogs come out and do an inspection there is definitely the best thing I always recommend before jumping right into treatment itself there.
Yes. So if you guys are watching live, you have any questions in the comments, go ahead and ask now. We'll get to a kind of open Q&A. But I do want to go into what is a heat treatment. We're saying heat treatment. What's chemical? What's heat? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so so I'll start with the chemical just because that's kind of, I wouldn't say the competition side, because we still do chemical applications here as well. But the chemical application process is a very linear process. When you're going through and treating with chemicals, the only where that chemical is applied is where it's going to kill. And the chemical route still can be effective. It's just a lot more drawn out process because the hardest thing with bed bugs is their eggs got a little bit of a coating to them, keeps them fairly resistant to chemicals. So it can take you 2, 3, sometimes 4 chemical treatments. Meanwhile, you got to space those out about 7 to 10 days apart. So it's kind of a month-long ordeal chemically treating to fully get the issue resolved. But the great thing of doing a heat treatment, we're basically, I wouldn't say turn the house into an oven, a very low scale oven. The highest will ever heat's about 150 degrees. But we're using a static pressurized heat. That way that heat's getting kind of deep into the structure of the home as well. So it's not really a linear process. It's more of we're kind of setting off the nuclear bomb in the house to make sure we're getting everything done and completely gone within one treatment there. But
for us, the really important part here is I'm never going to send a construction crew into a house with known bed bugs. That is cruel and unusual. Most of them honestly just won't do it. And so, I don't want them to bring bugs back to their family, anything like that. So heat treatment, we're in and out in a day. You guys are at a house for us today, actually. You're doing one for us that we've got the previous people out, haven't stepped foot in contractor wise, and we're getting it treated and they're coming in tomorrow. They're starting tomorrow. So that is the benefit of the heat treatment is you're in and out and you can move on with your project versus, I think you just said potentially up to a month on the chemical.
Yeah, and especially on a vacant home as well, if it's something where by previous tenants are out, the chemical process becomes a lot more challenging as well. Just because the big thing is they're drawn out by CO2. So if you have a house that's sitting vacant, you go through and apply those chemicals. There's nothing really giving off CO2 that's drawing them out into those chemicals to be a little bit more effective there compared to maybe an occupied unit. But even that, it's still you're kind of telling the tenants, hey, we're going to chemically treat, but you're going to be the bait for these bugs to try and get them through the chemical, which most people don't want to hear that. So.
Yeah. Imagine telling your resident that.
Yeah.
Hey, don't worry, you'll be fine. You and your kids, you'll be fine. It's gonna take a month, So for that reason, you convinced me very early on that we're pro heat treatment. I'm gonna share my screen on kind of what that process looks like. So you guys are using, you showed it to me before, the blue, is it this one?
We use those blue fans. I keep going to point at my screen. It's not showing up there, but the blue fans there we do use. Now the heater we use, I don't know if it would be pictured there. The ones we have are kind of tough to find, but the little bit larger unit, almost like a construction heater size, a big white machine. Um, and those themselves, it'll be a similar setup to those. One picture there on the right there, the yellow machine. It's usually a diesel powered machine there. The one we use is actually propane fed, so it gives a little bit of a cleaner burn. Also allows us to build up a little bit more pressure with the equipment we're using there. But basically, that heat's coming from that machine in through to the home through those black ducts you see run up through the windows there. And all that heat's getting dispersed where we have those ducts ran. And then we'll also have those high-speed fans that you kind of see them in the bottom left, those green and yellow fans in the bottom corner there.
I want to look at this. So this is kind of, the machinery, and this, of course, is just a Google search. So not your exact setup, but the machinery's outside powering the heat. And then there's different ducts and different fan systems throughout the house dispersing the heat.
Yeah,
and so we're able to actually get into all the nooks and crannies that maybe a chemical would miss.
Yeah, and the good thing is with all those fans, as we're going in and out throughout the day, I know us, we're in the house every 30 minutes. We're kind of adjusting where those fans and those ducts are going according to the temperatures in the house. But that way we can also make sure, in like an occupied home, we're getting plenty of heat throughout all the contents of the tenant living there. Because ideally when we're going in and out, we're pulling mattresses apart, opening up recliners, all the cabinets and dressers will kind of open up to make sure we're getting heat throughout it. But even in a vacant property, we're still going through and kind of adjusting, moving that stuff around and making sure we're getting to our desired temperatures and also getting that heat pushed to all throughout the home, not just blowing into the same specific area all day there.
Right. Yeah, the use of these fans.
Yeah. And a lot of those fans are built in with electric. The ones we use are just moving air. There's some companies that sell those as electric heaters. They have like a heating element on them. Hard thing with those is you're really not getting the pressure buildup like you are with using a larger size machine like we do. So especially if you got a company that's coming out to do a heat treatment for you, and they come in with a bunch of fans with electric units on it, most likely they're going to have to come back and do another treatment or so, maybe 2 or 3 for you.
It's not powerful enough.
Yeah, it'll get the rooms to temperature, but it's not going to get that pressure to kind of get deep into the contents of a home there.
Stephanie's asking, and this is a great question, where do most people get bed bugs? And if we as an investor walk a property that had them, what should we do next?
Yeah, so bed bugs themselves, like I said earlier, they're kind of parasites, so people can pick them up. What's unfortunate with where we live at in Ohio, just about anywhere. It just takes one other person that has a bed bug, and they go maybe out to a diner booth before you or sit in a waiting room chair at the doctor's office. They could leave one behind. You could sit there after them, take it home with you, and have no idea. Unfortunately, they don't care if you're black, white, rich, poor, clean, or dirty. Unfortunately, anybody can get bed bugs from just about anywhere. But sorry, I was reading through the second part of the question here. But yeah, as far as if you were to run into them, if you're walking a property and notice anything there, I always tell people your best friend is your washer and dryer. When I go home every day, I've never had to treat my own home in 5+ years of doing this, but when I go home every day, I change my outer layer of my clothes, and they're either right into the washer or dryer right away. Or if I'm not doing laundry that day, I'll just put them into something sealed up, something that holds and it's got a tight seal to it. That way, if there's anything on it, it's trapped inside until those clothes can get through the washer or dryer, and then that kill what's on there for you. But
so Stephanie, you don't have to burn all your clothes.
Yeah, some people insist on it, but
yeah. But make sure they get into some really hot scalding water in that dryer, and it's going to kill them off.
Yes, yeah. I always tell people those are your best friends. They've been my best friends the past 5 years. Never had any scares or anything like that bringing them home here.
That's awesome. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
You're doing it every day. So very cool. Well, let's talk about, everyone is probably thinking, how much does this treatment cost? It looks, pretty intensive. Can you give us like a rule of thumb if we need to treat for bed bugs?
Yeah, so I tell people roughly, again, place by place, it's going to vary. It's going to be depending on the size of the home itself. And of course, depending on travel and whatnot too. If we're going 2 hours away, it's going to be a little bit more expensive compared to doing something in town in Columbus here. But I'd say roughly anywhere from 75 cents to $1.25 a square foot, give or take there. And again, it's gonna vary place by place. Typically, once you get to those larger size homes, we usually kind of do more of a percentage discount as far as a larger size home. But with a smaller home, we just kind of keep a flat rate pricing. Anything under 1,000 square foot is going to be roughly 1,100, 1,200 bucks there, give or take. But again, that's all gonna kind of vary situation by situation there. And like I said, once you get to like a real huge house, 4,000 square foot plus or square foot or more, and we're sending 2 trucks, it's going to kind of exponentially bring that cost up, just because unfortunately with the house that large, we're gonna have to send 2 crews and 2 trucks on. But like I said, roughly I'd say give or take about $1 a square foot there, depending on, of course, location, everything there as well.
Okay. Yeah, so average dollar a square foot with some minimums and maximums, of course. That's super helpful. That is like kind of our local pricing. If someone was to want to find the integrity of, because this is a nationwide group, so if they wanted to find the integrity of their local area, what would you recommend?
So I tell people just kind of doing your due diligence, kind of investigating as far as just checking out reviews everywhere. Because like I said, especially even when I'm a big foodie, so we always go out to eat a bunch. And before we go check out a place, check out all the reviews, see what's good, see what's bad, those kind of things. And definitely encourage, of course, doing your due diligence. Again, I can't speak for other companies in other areas, but definitely going through, if it's a company that's only been around for 6 months to a year, I'd try and steer clear. Whereas we can find somebody that's a little bit more of a experienced company, like 3 to 4 years, 5+ years of business, and lots of great reviews for them from lots of customers. It doesn't look like it's family members who leaving a bunch of reviews or anything like that. But definitely just kind of doing the due diligence, kind of checking out the other companies in those areas, because it is, unfortunately, there's a lot of heat treat companies that give kind of heat treatment's a bad rap as well. So it's tough to find a good, reliable company, but also once you do find that good, reliable company, definitely keep them in your back pocket, especially if you're, like I said, if you're neighbor or faraway states or across the country there. It's definitely a good, reliable company. Is definitely a good thing to have when it comes to dealing with this kind of issue there.
Totally. Like with anything, we love when I find someone good, I keep them close. So yeah. What would you say? I guess I kind of lost that question. Does anyone else have any questions about bed bugs treatment, anything like that? Okay, well, very cool. If y'all do have any questions, just let us know. You can keep commenting and we will get your questions answered. And we will post Mike's info as well. So thank you so much for your time. And I know you mentioned earlier you've had a crazy day. So
yes, it's been a day. Yeah, luckily only a couple more stops today, just doing some bees and stuff like that. But yeah, and then I'll probably actually swing back to Terry, the technician who's over at the property for you guys, helping break down later. So it'll be eventful day. It's gonna be a long day, but we'll get it done.
I know. I remember my question. So if you're investing in a different state and you're looking for a bed bug heat treatment company, you could ask them what type of equipment they use. And so what are red flags, Mike? If they say I'm using X, Y, or Z, what would be a red flag?
Yeah, so the big thing is a lot of it's going to deal with the pressure of the machine itself. I know the machine, our main machine we use to heat most residential homes is called a RX-12. It's a very large machine, whereas we use a smaller heater itself to heat treat if tenants have any sort of vehicles or residents have any vehicles there. We use a smaller size heater to heat those vehicles for them, but it doesn't require as much pressure for heating a space that much smaller compared to doing an entire home. So they come with something that looks like the size of like a barbecue grill. It's usually gonna be a little bit smaller, not gonna have enough pressure to treat a 2,000 square foot home effectively, whereas they show up with a nice large machine, something that's looks like it's gonna be cycling through a lot of air, and it's definitely gonna help kind of reassure, like, hey, this company knows what they're doing. They're using higher tech or larger machinery where it's going to be building up the pressure necessary to help it be an effective treatment there.
Awesome. And is there electric or gas, diesel? I know you mentioned a few. Is there one that you would not recommend?
Definitely would not recommend electric.
Okay.
Electric, there's really difficult to build up the pressure there. I know with the vehicles, when we do treatments with those, it is a diesel powered machine itself. A diesel is not as clean of a burn to heat an entire house itself throughout the day. I always tell people usually propane is going to give you the cleanest burn. There's not going to be any sort of issues with the any sort of like residual. I know sometimes those diesel heaters can give off a little bit of a almost like oily residue when they burn if they're not well maintained there. But typically propane is going to give you the cleanest and best result there.
Okay. Okay. Well, y'all heard it here first. Okay. I will let you get back to your day. Thank you so much. And this replay will be up for anyone that hopefully you don't need it. But if you do, then you know who to call.
Appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.